Hello, everyone. It's Sybil Starr here to give the astrology update for the new moon in Virgo. The new moon in Virgo occurs on September 17th at 4:01 a.m. Pacific time. It's at 25 degrees of Virgo. It's a very powerful new moon. And there are some other things happening right now, and I'm going to show you the chart so you can see the other things that we'll be talking about. Screen share. All right, so here is the chart for the new moon in Virgo. So the new moon in Virgo is that the sun and the moon are at 25 degrees of Virgo, and they are opposing Neptune at 19 degrees 23 minutes of Pisces. So we have the Virgo Pisces polarity very strong, as Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. This new moon is also in a trine, which is an easy flow of energy with Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, this big conjunction right here that we have been, that has been so impacting us. And a trine is an easy flow. So even though this is still a challenging aspect, the energy with this Virgo moon, I believe, will give us maybe some insights and into what's happening and how to handle the energy that we are in. Mars, of course, is still over here in Aries at 27 degrees of Aries, still conjunct Black Moon Lilith and Eris. So this is a very big warrior energy. Now, Mercury is over here at 17 degrees of Libra. Mercury is the ruler of Virgo in astrology. And so it's a very important planet, the ruler of the sign. And Mercury is also the ruler of the North Node, the way forward. And Mercury is in Libra. Mercury is in a square also to Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. And a little later, in about a week, it's going to be opposing Mars as well. So it's still a very potent energy. All right, so those are the main things we're going to be talking about today. All right, so the other thing which I did not say is that we have 6 planets in Earth signs at this new moon. And Saturn goes direct on September 28th. Jupiter went direct earlier in the month, so the planets are starting to turn around and go direct, which is really important because when planets are retrograde, things don't move as quickly, and it kind of bears down, it kind of really puts a lot of pressure on, is what I'm going to say. Pluto will also go direct in October, but Mars is retrograde from September 9th to November 13th. And Mars is in a very tight square to Saturn. And so Mars is very much about action, moving forward, making decisions, just kind of like jumping in. But when Mars is retrograde, it slows everything down. And when Mars is in a square to Saturn, it slows everything down so we can plan and think more carefully. All right. The Sabian symbol for this degree of the zodiac is a flag at half-mast in front of a public building, which seems really appropriate right now with what has been happening in the world with Mother Earth and all of the fires and now the flooding and the hurricanes and all of the different weather events that are happening. And with 6 planets in Earth, there's a real focus on Earth energy and the consciousness of Mother Earth, which is, I'm going to just call Gaia. That is her consciousness, and she is really trying to get our attention. And so with this flag at half-mast in front of a public building, there is a sense of collective loss. I'm on the West Coast and been in the midst of these fires, and so much wildlife is lost, so many trees and so many people, so many homes in Oregon, 5 towns at least that I know of, were leveled. And these fires are just ferocious as they come through here. And so there is like that, there is a real sense of loss here on the West Coast. There was some grieving going on in these times of purification. The fire is the purifying element. And of course, I know people in other parts of the country are having other weather issues, flooding in the southeast, hurricanes coming in. I don't know how many there are, but the earth, the earth climate is in crisis, and Mother Earth is really wanting us to align with her and to pay attention. And the other thing I wanted to say is, with all of these planets in Earth signs, um, in January, there was the exact Jupiter Saturn conjunction in Capricorn, and it's still going on. It just hasn't been exact. They've been traveling very closely together this whole year. And the last time Jupiter and Saturn met in Capricorn was 500 years ago with the colonization of the Americas. And now they're meeting again. And it seems to me like it is an end of that cycle. All of the colonizing ways of coming in and just rampaging over the land and being destructive and destroying the land and the people and the ways things have been done. Mother Earth is saying it can't last any longer. And well, it really never could, but it's so out of balance now. And it also seems to me like it is a time for those indigenous people that have held, the indigenous elders and leaders that have held the wisdom of Mother Earth for all of these years. They are the ones that are leading us forward. They are the ones who still have the ability to listen deeply to Gaia and what she is trying to tell us. So it is so important to pay attention to their teachings and their messages. So the new moon in Virgo, what does it mean? So Virgo is Virgo is the god of small things. Virgo is the god of detail. It is the teacher of detail, and that they say the devil is in the details. So it's so important to pay attention to the details in the time of Virgo. They also say, that Virgo can't see the forest for the trees, but this is not as much. It's always a time to see the big picture, but Virgo is an earth sign, and so many earth signs is also about practicality. It's like problem solving. What are the solutions? We can identify the problems. What are the solutions? The practical solutions. Virgo is about discernment, doing something well, healing, and the shadow side is being a perfectionist. Virgo brings in the teaching of humility. And as they say, humility is one of the gateways to heaven. And it's so important, especially now with Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, in Libra. And Libra is so much about connecting with others, of having the humility to recognize that each person that comes into our life is a teacher in some way. May not be a teaching we want, but it may be a teaching we need. And so to really be aware of that when people cross our paths, each person has a teaching of some kind, as we do for them. It is the archetype of the priestess. It has to do with sacred work. But Virgo teaches us that there is no difference between the sacred and the mundane. It's all about mindfulness and how we approach everything that we do. Washing the dishes can be just as a spiritual experience as sitting in a beautiful temple and praying. Virgo teaches us that there is no difference. Virgo is also a really big teacher of the mind-body experience. Like I said, there is no difference between the sacred and the mundane, that everything is connected. It's known for being, I'm going to say the word is hypochondriac, because when Virgo teaches us to really pay attention to our emotions, that whenever we're ill, there's always more there than just the body. where there's something out of balance, either in the spiritual or emotional field, that is also, or sometimes an illness is just simply a teaching, and to pay attention to that. But it's more there than meets the eye. Okay, and Virgo is the Virgin. It's a sign. It's associated with Mother Mary. It's associated with Isis, and with Demeter, Ceres. Um, and virgin does not mean sexually chaste. It means one who is whole and complete unto oneself. And so it is a very powerful feminine archetype that in the Northern Hemisphere always comes at the time of the harvest. Now, this is opposite Neptune, okay? And Neptune in Pisces. So it brings in the Virgo Pisces axis very strong. And Neptune is, of course, is the quantum field. It reminds us that everything is energy, which absolutely brings in the mind-body connection to realize that we're actually, everything is energy. And it's about divine presence. All of the earth signs and are very much about being present and grounded in the body. And the Neptunian piece reminds us that spirit lives within each one of us. Each one of us carry that divine spark of creator and of the love. And Neptune is very much what we call the unconditional love of the universe. It's the divine heart, that our bodies are temples of love, of that divine love that lives in the universe. Our bodies carry that. And also about when we are in the present moment is where we can most easily access the divine, that divine that lives within us, that divine that surrounds us, that divine is everywhere. Because the truth is, all we really have is the present moment. The divine lives in the present moment. When we are worrying about the future, or depressed about the past, or wherever we are, when we are in the present moment is when we are most in connection with the divine. And in these times of great challenge, it is so important to be in the present moment, because our minds can take us out spin us out so badly. It's so important to pull ourselves back and say, this is the present moment, and this is really all there really is. And every choice I make in the present moment actually determines the direction that my life takes. That's why it's so important to be in the present moment and connected with our inner guidance, our inner GPS, with our intuition, and with spirit. And like I said, it's also so important to realize that our body is a temple where spirit dwells, where our spirit dwells, where creator dwells. And so to treat our body like a temple. Virgo is very much about taking care of our bodies. It's the sign of healing. It's the sign of health. It is the sign that has to do with nutrition, with vitamins, with all things that heal us of the earth, not our petrochemical medications, those things, herbal remedies, being outside, being in the fresh air, even though we've got a lot of, and that's one reason it's been really difficult here on the West Coast, is that it's been so difficult to go outside and be in the fresh air. But all of the things that nourish our body is a teaching of Virgo. Like I said, this new moon is trine. It's the Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter conjunction. And I feel like it is saying as well, this time is about continuing to mend ourselves and mend our world, okay? And those particular planets take a lot of courage to look at and see. It makes us look within to see what is happening and what is the truth. And sometimes the truth is so hard to find. It's also square the nodes, and the nodes are often a point of destiny and could say that this is actually at a turning point. But one of the biggest messages, I think, of all these earth planets and Virgo leading the way, it is about aligning ourselves with the energy of Mother Earth, with Gaia. And even though I talked about the indigenous elders leading the way, we all have our own connection with Gaia. And it's so important to listen to her, because this is the way forward. We have to align with her, or our species will not survive. She is shifting into, she's cleaning up. She's cleaning up. The fires of purification are happening. She is balancing herself, and we need to be balanced with her. Mercury in Libra is, like I said, the Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. Well, the traditional ruler. Some believe it's actually Ceres, and some of the asteroids are, but Virgo is an earth sign, but it's also a mental sign. And so that's why Mercury is actually the ruler, because Virgo uses discrimination and analysis and critical thinking skills. And this is a really important teaching at this time right now. And Libra, Mercury in Libra is very much the peacemaker. It is the diplomat. It is the one who can see both sides of the situation and recognize that we all carry a part of the truth. No one has all of the truth. And in these times of great divisiveness, Libra, the peacemaker, comes in and asks us to be able to look and see where to find that kernel of truth, even in something we're diametrically opposed to. There's always a piece. We need to find common ground. This is so much about healing the divisiveness where we need common ground. Libra is also the sign of a Ma'at, which is about cosmic truth and justice and harmony. And so I feel like this piece is we are looking for what is true in our world. It is, number one, about aligning our truth with cosmic truth. There are two truths. We each have our personal truth in the way we view the world, and our understanding and our perspective. Cosmic truth is more things like, the golden rule. It's always right. It's always right to do unto others, and to as you would have them do unto you, and to treat others well. Another cosmic law is to nurture life, to take care of life. And so to align our truth with whatever nurtures life, feeds love. And in this square to Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter, I feel like, because especially Saturn, okay, Saturn is the planet that rules consensus reality, and Pluto is about some deep truths, and so is Jupiter. Both of those have to do with truth. So I feel like we've kind of reached a place in our evolution where we no longer have a collective consensus on what truth is. I think we have reached a place where we're each looking for that truth within our own hearts. But the key is, as we do this looking, to make sure that it is also aligned with cosmic truth, because cosmic truth really is the truth. It may not be our consensus truth, but in our hearts, we know those kinds of things about how to treat other people. It's just in our outer world. I'm just going to say so many things that we have believed to be true. We're finding the veil is falling to discover that they are not true. Those we have trusted, those we have given put our trust in, like I said, the veil is falling, and it's really hard to look at what we see when the veil falls, and it really is putting a lot of people in a tailspin as they're seeking for something new, something to believe in, because what they have believed to be true just isn't anymore. It's falling down. And like I said, it's also too about discernment, critical thinking skills, and aligned with intuition. The truth lies in the heart. I have a really nice slide I want to show you about this. Yeah, let me find it here. Okay. Oh, here's one I forgot to share, and I love this one. I searched for God and found only myself. I searched for myself and found only God. This is the divine presence. Only in the heart can one experience the divine presence of truth. We know in our hearts what is true, what is cosmic truth, as we are seeking our own truth to line it up against where that divine lives is what we know to be true. It's just, like I said, there's not a consensus in our collective in so many of the things that we have believed to be true. We're finding they are not. And Mercury is opposite Mars, and Mars in Aries, and Mars and Aries sees the world in black and white. This is right and this is wrong, whereas Libra sees things in shades of gray. Like I said, we all carry pieces of the truth. And Mercury in Libra asks us to follow our intuition. That's why so many judges are Libras, because just because one thing is right doesn't make something else wrong. And so it's that paradox that we live within, and being able, to do that. So on to Mars in Aries. Okay, Mars in Aries is retrograde, and it's just really, it's what's burning everything up. When I saw Mars going to be in Aries for 6 months, I knew the fires were going to be really bad this year. That Mother Earth was going to be going through a purification. She is burning everything up. These purification times. But Mars and Aries, what it brings actually is courage. And it doesn't mean that we're not afraid. That means that we're afraid, but we walk through the fire of our own fear. Mars and Aries has to do with direction in life, action, passion, and how we use our will. Mars is going to be retrograde from September 9th to November 13th. And when a planet is retrograde, they're actually closer to the Earth. They're opposite the sun, but they're closer to the Earth. And so when the planet goes retrograde, it slows the energy down because it is some time of some inner work and reflection. And Mars doesn't like that. Mars really wants to keep charging ahead. He's burning up, and yet the teaching is around looking within. And is about the courage to look within to see what it is that triggers us, where we are contributing to the fire, to the flame, as within, so without. The real truth of the world is what lies really in our hearts, because we are creating the world at all times. We are energy beings. We slip on these skins, but we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we are creating this world at all times. And so these fires, not only is it Mother Earth doing purification, it is about purifying our own souls. It's about purifying our energy field and having the courage to look within to see, what needs purifying and how we are contributing to the divisiveness that is so prevalent in our world. Mars in Aries brings up the anger. And we need to look at how we are using our anger. So much anger is misplaced. So many have a tendency to find a lightning rod, something to hang their anger on. It's that person's fault. It's those people's fault. It's their fault, and and if you're really angry, and I've seen a lot of people, and I'm going to say almost blind rage over the actions of some people and just dislike, and it's not even, it's time to look within. What is that trigger? Why, what has been happening in our world has been happening for a long time. Yes, it's getting worse, but it's coming to a head in this purification. But it's so important to recognize no one person, no one group of people are responsible. It is a system, it is a paradigm, and it is a paradigm that there is an dark energy in our world that has been here a long time that is being revealed. And this is what the fires are wanting to burn off. This dark energy is actually um, it's a result of our collective unconscious that we are coming up against, that we need to heal and release. The divisiveness that we see in the world is coming out of our own psyches. It's in our hearts. Where we start to heal it is in our own hearts. Okay, to see where it is that us against them. Why do we hate that person or that group? We're all in this together, and we've created this together. And we need to look to where our role is. And this takes courage to do that and to catch ourselves whenever are triggered. Is to bring conscious awareness to our triggers. Say, oh man, I just got triggered. I need to calm down and get a handle on this, breathe through it, and see what I'm upset about. Okay. It's about channeling our energy into constructive outlets, because it's a tremendous amount of energy with Mars retrograde. So we need fun. So if we don't channel into something constructive, it can be channeled into something destructive. There is a tremendous amount of energy. And it's also a time of problem solving, reevaluating our direction and action in life and how we are going to use our free will choice. And of course, Mars in Aries is the warrior, and it is so much about standing up for ourselves and about standing up for Mother Earth, I would say at this point. It is, you know, yes, and so just going a little deeper into these purification times with Mars in a square to Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse a long time, and I've done a lot of, studying different alternative healing methods as well. And well, I don't even want to say alternative, just traditional, about a fever. Many doctors will tell you, give me a fever and I can cure the disease. But we don't let the fever happen. We stop it. So the disease isn't cured, because there can be a healing crisis. And sometimes if we do let if we let the fever go, it does purify the body of whatever the illness is, but it can be scary. And so now, we take medicine to stop the fever. Well, that's what is also happening. I'm going to say here, climate crisis is the real crisis. We know this. Climate crisis, it's impacting everyone. I live in, like I said, the West Coast. We've had um, what, 3 catastrophic fires and 2 catastrophic floods in it's either 4 or 5 years. I can't remember when the first flood was, where people were evacuated and, living with really bad air and scary. And I know people on the coasts are living, with floods and with hurricanes and there's so many. Every weather event is almost on a catastrophic scale anymore, because the earth is so out of balance and she's trying to bring herself back into balance. But the thing is, we know the fossil fuel greenhouse gases have really impacted us, but also the way we've managed it. So it's important to look with Virgo and all of these earth signs, being able to look at the reality so that we can decide what to do. And 2 things I have discovered recently. One is just how badly the forests have been managed. Like I said, a fever often is what a person needs to heal. Well, there are areas that require fire. And I'm going to call them the fire gods. There are areas that belong to the fire gods, and we have built homes in the areas that belong to the fire gods, and then tried to not let the natural fires occur, which the land needs. I listened to a man on a TED talk about this and about how before 1930, pictures or before our current system started, you would see big swatches in the forest of of the fires of the trees that were all gone, and then it would renew the fire and it would thin the trees so there wasn't so many trees, and the forests were healthier that way. But we've stopped doing that because people are now inhabiting places that actually belong to the fire. The second thing that I really done a little work on is weather modification. I didn't realize just, instead of, and apparently since 1964, this weather modification has been going on, rather than dealing with the effects of the fossil fuels, our government decided to modify the weather. And so they're putting things in our air, such as aluminum, to put many chemicals in the air to change the weather. And I heard, these fires in where I'm at in Northern California started with something called dry lightning. And I heard this man speak, and it was a year ago. And he said that aluminum in the air is from the weather modification is related to dry lightning. And he also talked about the snow on Mount Shasta being so full of aluminum nanoparticles. Um, and I was in Mount Shasta. I lived there just a short time in 2009. And the city council in Mount Shasta at that time was suing the federal government for what they were calling cloud seeding, because it was impacting them so adversely that the government wanted more snow, more water on Mount Shasta, because it was a water source for a large population of California. And of course, they lost. But when I heard that this man said, do whatever you do, don't eat the snow on Mount Shasta because it is full of aluminum. And of course, they're discovering that aluminum in the autopsies of those who have Alzheimer's, dementia, autism, and autoimmune disorders. So, aluminum, heavy metals in the air. And so these are things, once we become aware of them, we can, once we become, the more aware we are of what practical solutions we can take, put pressure on our government to stop the things they are doing that are actually really interfering. And I know there's other things. I know there's arson. I mean, there is a lot of man-made activity that is impacting the weather in so many ways. And Mother Earth herself is shifting. I mean, they're both happening at the same time. But to go through these challenging times, these earth signs are saying to stay present and focused. It's like, steering the boat through challenging water, through turbulent water. You have to stay focused and present. And that's what these times are about, and to be aware of what is really going on so that we can make different choices. But the biggest thing, as I said again, is as within, so without. And this divisiveness and all of this anger and hatred that we see in the world, to know that it starts in our own hearts. And it's important to look within and be able to see from another's, walk in another's shoes, at least see from someone else's eyes. No one has the market on truth. We all carry a part of the truth. And to look at the potential of truth being in things that you just know you're against. But there are you will find truth in so many places. And once again, it is always about the choice between love and fear. Always. We can choose love or we can choose fear. And fear is rampant right now. But it's a choice we can make to have, what is it someone said? To have compassion. And compassion is love with understanding. There is an understanding of our differences, and that we see the world differently, and to be open to new possibilities and new ways of thinking. The choice we have is to live in fear or hate, or to grow in compassion and wisdom. The choice is yours to make every moment of every day. This is probably the oldest wisdom, and it has never been hidden. You create the world you choose to live in. And to remember that we create the world we choose to live in, and I choose to live in love. I choose love. I choose understanding. I choose compassion. And we are all in this together. We are a family of humanity, and we are moving through these turbulent times, and it does require focus, and it does, and we need to also remember that everything is divine, and this is God too, and we will make it through this together. All right. So if you're interested in contacting me, I'm Sybil Star, SIBYLSTAR. You can reach me at sybilstar.com. I have a website there. I have a new website coming. The old one is still up, but I have a new one coming within a very short time. And I also have a page on Facebook called Star Nation Oracle, and you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you enjoyed this video. All right, wishing you all well.